Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's time for the digital huddle, and I'm excited about this week. Last week I started a new little mini series on a book that we've been teaching our staff, and a book that is not necessarily a Christian resource, but one that is used in the business world and for different organizations, and really a resource that helps challenge the way you think about every situation you walk into. And the book, some of you have told me that you already purchased it. That's awesome. If you want to read it, go ahead. You don't have to. I'm going to be teaching different chapters through here, and I'm not going to go like chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, week after week. But last week I started in some parts of chapter 1, and today I want to highlight a few other things as well from chapter 1. But the book is called this. It's The Power of Moments, and what it is a chance for you to really be challenged in creating defining moments for other people. There's moments in everyday life, whether you are a parent, whether you're going to work, whether you're serving at the church, no matter what it is, there's these moments that you have the power to create for other people. And so we're talking through this thought: how can I create a defining moment for someone else? And last week we talked about how, if you were to evaluate yourself at Disney, and you evaluate yourself every single hour, you may have an average experience of like a 6.5 or something like that. But if you were to wait a month before you evaluated your trip from a month earlier, what may happen is you would say, hey, my trip was like a 9 or even 9.5, something much higher. And the reason is because psychologically you throw out some of the average things and you hold on to the peaks and the pits. And so what we want to do as the dream team, is what we want to do in our homes and our workplaces, we want to create as many peaks as we can so people hold on to these moments, these memories, these defining moments, and they refer back to that whenever they're saying, man, I remember when Generation Church, man, they did this, and this is the peak in their memory. And so there's so many moments that we can create for people every single week. And one thing about defining moments is this: what we're doing is we're taking traditions and we're taking the norms and we're changing the routines. And what that does is it creates like a ripple. It creates this moment that is defined, right? And so whether it is that you're opening the doors for people, or maybe you're making coffee for someone, or maybe you're in the kids ministry, or you're in the parking lot, or you're an usher, or whatever it is that you're serving, what is it that you can do each week to maybe make a moment memorable for somebody? I remember not long ago, there was a new family that walked into the church, and I just happened to be out in the front of the church when they walked in. It was 3 people together, and they looked kind of lost. They were looking around like this, and they'd never been there before. And, hey, your first time? I've never seen you before. And, I introduced myself, and I walked them into our auditorium, and they sat down, and, I was just kind of telling them like what to expect that day and everything like that. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, is there a place where we can get some water, like a water fountain? And I was like, you know what, you just hold on one second. I ran over to the cafe. I took 3 bottles of water, and I went over to them. I was like, hey, this one's on us. And what that did was they were just blown away by the fact that I went and got them a bottle of water, like something that was above and beyond a water fountain, right? Like they expected just water. They expected the water fountain, but instead what they got was the bottle of water, and I served to them. And what that did was it created a defining moment. Now the whole thing, like there may have been a lot of average experiences throughout the day, but that's going to stick out to them. As simple as it is, it cost us maybe $1.50 total, right? As simple as it seems, that little act of service creates a defining moment for somebody. Defining moments are when you take the tradition, the norm, and you shake them up a little bit. You do something to bend it, to tweak it, to make it stand out and be different than the norm. And so in the first chapter, what it does is it's going to give you a highlight of some of the things that we're going to be talking about as this time goes on with us. We're not going to unpack every single one of them today, but there's 4 different ways you can create these defining moments. And it actually jokes and says you shouldn't call it epic, but you can actually call it epic if you want to create an epic moment, because the first one is this: it's elevation. It's making a moment higher than it normally would be, right? Like maybe when we had the first Wednesday it was July the 3rd, right? And we had all the bounce houses and we had the ice cream man. We made that first Wednesday elevated. We created a moment, a defining moment, because we elevated that Wednesday night by creating all of these things for you to remember and have fun with your family and have a memorable night. You're gonna go back to that, man. That first one, it was so fun. First Wednesdays are so great because we created a defining moment right there. Right? There's also these times of pride, where moments where you're at a peak, and there's these memories that we have at the peak. I think of Christmas at GC, and when we put out so many chairs, and we're like, okay, I think that's enough. I think that's enough to hold all the people, and all of a sudden, people just kept on coming to worship with us and to celebrate Christmas with us. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we're shoving people into corners we didn't even know we had at this point. Like, don't let the fire marshal see, you know what I mean? And so here we are. Like, I mean that's a peak moment where there's pride, and like we're all together in this, going like, man, this is awesome to see what God is doing. That's the P. You look over at the I, it's moments of insight. There's these moments of insight where we see our environment maybe a little bit differently. Whenever something happens and it changes our view of something else or something surrounding us, and maybe through this experience we go, man, it's so cool how we get to be a part of this, and what if we also did this too, and we could do this as well, and we can create even more moments for people. And then you get the C, where you have it's a part of where it's our cultural fabric is being changed and challenged to go to levels that it maybe hasn't before. And we're going to break down all these different things in the future weeks, but I want to challenge you. What are some areas that we can go and create a defining moment for somebody this week? You know, in that first chapter, there's a story about this hotel over in Los Angeles, and the hotel is nothing special, right? It's a hotel. It's not like trashy or anything like that. It's just a okay hotel. But the one thing they have is they have phones out by the pool, and they call it the popsicle hotline. And all you got to do is pick up the phone, and they say, what flavor popsicle would you like? And they bring you these popsicles by the pool. Now, the cost of the popsicles are really, really cheap, right? The having the phone system is just kind of a silly little fun thing. But what it does is creates this defining moment. The rooms might be a 6 or 7, the bathroom's the same, and the look and the feel of the hotel itself maybe doesn't compete with some of the other hotels around it, but when they go home and they're with their family and friends and talking about their vacation, what do you think they're going to talk about? Their kids are going to be like, there was a phone where I could just pick it up and get a free popsicle, right? They're just going to be so pumped up about this one little thing that costs hardly anything, because it was a defining moment. It's something that stood out. It's something that was different. It's something that challenged the tradition, the norm. It was different, and so it stood out. And so what can you do in your area this week, this Sunday, or maybe every Sunday? What can you do to find a moment, to find something to make someone feel a certain way and create a defining moment? It's the reason why I loved having the spin wheels at the VIP station. It had nothing to do with the prizes. I could care less about the prizes. Every church gives away like a gift whenever you are a new person. But what we had was this thing where you can go and spin a wheel, and there's this fun interaction. Now you're a new person. You're laughing. You're giggling. Your kids are having fun. Everyone's spinning this wheel. You're talking to the VIP people, and there's this fun moment created. That's now a defining moment. When you go home, there might be a whole lot of average things that, it feels like other churches maybe that you experience. But there's this one thing that when you first got your first impression was something so different, it was defining. So what can you do to help create a defining moment? Maybe in your home, maybe it's your kid's birthday party. What can you do to create a defining moment? What can you do to create a defining moment on that family vacation or in your office this week? What can you do for your employees this week to create a defining moment? And what can you do for God's house, for GC, to create defining moments this week? I want to challenge you. Think about it. And think about all the ways that other people maybe have created a defining moment for you. Anyways, I can't wait to see you guys this Sunday. I'm preaching on Church Hurt, so make sure you are there or tune in online. I got a lot to share with you, but I love you guys. I'll see you soon.